we go. We are live. Podcast 168. Balance in the Garden. Barry, I told Barry about what the podcast was yesterday and went round this morning, seen him on 1 foot in a yoga pose. Like, what are you doing? He went, I'm balancing in the garden.
Yeah. I was balancing in the garden.
A little bit different on the podcast. Oh, right, for anyone watching, if you see me doing this, it's because I'm not well. I'm still here to do the podcast.
He's still here.
Because I'm a trooper. Crack on, don't I?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Oh, where's the knob for this?
On it.
Oh,
Sat on it.
You've got to push it in, haven't you? Don't know what to do. I'm just going to go, and that's it. Be relaxed, be chilled, go all the way back and just sit. Oh, yeah, it feels a bit better.
Balance.
Just balance. That's better, that actually. Right, let's get into it because when this podcast's done, I'm going home, Barry.
I'm coming with you.
I'm going to bed.
I'm coming with you.
To bed. Right. Good afternoon, Indica Head Shop. Good to have you here again on this rainy Wednesday. Did you just fart then?
It's the rain.
Who's Lorraine?
Can't you hear the rain?
Who's Lorraine?
Lorraine, shout there.
You did, didn't you?
No, as if.
You horrible bastard.
I was balancing my body. It's that yoga, mate.
Right. Let's crack on. Let's get into it because I am not feeling good today, to be honest. It's not. Oh, you? No. It's not that bad. Right. Yes, Salford Smokers Club. Josh is going to give me a nod like every 20 minutes to look at the comments, so I'm going to go through them rather than divert my attention and getting all lost to where I'm up to. And Josh will reply back. If there's a really good question that I'm talking about at that very second, you can interrupt Josh and crack on. So, welcome back, Barry.
I haven't been nowhere. Do you mean welcome back? I was here
Welcome
on the last
back.
one.
You were here last week, I know, but welcome back for this week's podcast.
Sound.
You've been somewhere. You've been cracking on with your house, haven't you?
Don't stop me.
Balance. Barry has to balance in his kitchen because it's
like
self-leveling when shit.
Like
Self-level. Looks like the Snowdon Mountains in Wales, your
I
kitchen.
self-levelled my house the other day. And it ain't self-level. I don't care what they say, mate. What would you think of self-leveling?
You
think,
pour
like,
it on. And
it does its own thing.
Levels itself.
Nah, it doesn't, mate. It's a load of shite.
Yeah.
Hard work.
Barry builds top tip. Self-level is not self-level.
No.
He's out there with a trowel, making
What?
all kinds of manoeuvres
Honest to God.
and balancing on 1 foot, trying to not to get the wet bits.
Joke.
What is today's podcast?
Garden culture.
Garden culture review. Been meaning to do this for years, and Eric keeps on getting me back going. Why don't you ever talk about the articles in garden culture? I'm like, I don't know, actually. I just get carried away with topics and thinking about what to do. And this is going to be the first one. This is podcast 168, Balance in the Garden, a garden culture review. And garden culture comes out once every 2 months. So we're going to do this once every 2 months. And it brings, basically, this is called Balance in the Garden. So all the articles are roughly about balance in the garden, fully enough. And it's good because it talks about stuff that I wouldn't necessarily talk about. And because I tend to talk about what I'm interested in, we're probably missing a lot of subjects that other people are interested in.
Yeah, because you're interested in it doesn't mean everyone else is.
Exactly. Bring your mic a little bit closer to your mouth because you're nice and relaxed. And let's not tip the stand and then tilt it downwards a little bit.
I need to make a new mic stand, don't I?
You do.
It's hard work. Like
There you go. It's perfect.
Balancing.
It's perfect. Balancing the podcast stand. It's all about balance. So we're going to get cracking. So how do you say this? If something's published once every 2 months, there's it's not weekly. Oh, okay, it's bi-monthly. Nice one, Josh. Straight in there. No, it's bi-monthly. That means it's one every 2 months.
Oh. Well, you said buy it, then I was thinking, mate, I've been giving them away.
I know, yeah.
Good hell.
Now, this is issue 27 in the UK, Balance in the Garden. For anyone watching, there you go. It's on the screen there now.
But they do an American version.
They do the American version. It's a bit smaller than the UK version.
The back of it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, different adverts. So, I've been meaning to do this for ages because there's always really good articles. And I thought we should give the authors some credit, some shout outs, and also give the good articles some shout outs. So I started yesterday going through all the articles, finished off literally. If you watched live, you would literally have seen me reading the last article, because I know I'm going on about it, but I'm not. Well, I haven't really done much today. And some of them I'm not going to spend too much time on because you have to read them. There's not much I can say about them.
Don't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah, and basically the one that you have to read is, and I'm going to give this one out at the beginning. This one is Article of the Month, or Article of the Bi-Month, whatever you'd call it. It's by Dr. Callie Seaman, Biochemistry of the Cold. Not really one that we're going to go into depth on the podcast, but it's my favourite article because it's super science. I don't want to bore you all with it. If you're into your science, go and read that one. And I've written something for the beginning. So this is the foreword, Eric. Eric and Celia are owners of Garden Culture magazine. It's all over the world: Australia, UK, Canada, America, and other places probably as well. So they're the owners, and we're going to start this review episode for every 2 months as the magazine released, so it's current as well. And after chatting with Eric, the content in Garden Culture is the best of any magazine, in my opinion, but not everyone gets the time to read or even enjoys reading. So I thought, if you enjoy listening to a podcast because you're on your way to work or you're in your garden, then it's a good way of being able to see what's going on in Garden Culture magazine. And if any articles interest you, you can go and pick it up, or you can just get a basic overview of it. And also, I was speaking to Eric yesterday. He said, just to mention, that it's not a magazine that he technically believes everything that's in it. He thinks everything can be true, but some of the opinions expressed he doesn't hold. But if he put everything in the magazine that he thought was true and was his opinion, it'd be a very one-sided magazine. So, you just need to get that out there. Don't start going slating Eric if you disagree with something like I'm about to. It's just there for readers to think about, digest, and go and do some more research. Before we get into the bulk of it, though, last week I mentioned that Boost contains tricantanol derived from seaweed. Now, the reason I thought that is because a very well-respected scientist told me that was the reason why I found tricantanol and Boost. But someone's actually commented on the YouTube channel. I haven't replied yet because I've been looking into it a little bit. Most tricantanol is derived from alfalfa meal. That's where most of it comes from. And he said he doesn't think that there's any species of seaweed where you can get tricantanol from. So this is great, because I've said that I say on most podcasts, I do not know everything. And when I say something that you disagree with, you must pull me up on it, because it betters me, makes me a better
It just
researcher.
educates everyone, doesn't it?
Now, I could be wrong. The reason I held on to that belief is because many years ago, this person told me, and I never questioned it wrongly. You should always question everything that anybody says and go and do your own research. So, because of that comment, I'm going to go and find the research. I'm going to try my best to find a seaweed that contains tricantanol so I don't look like a dick. But if I can't, I'll hold my hands up and say I was actually wrong on that point. So yeah, I could be wrong, but give me a bit more time to do some research and I will let you all know if there's a seaweed that contains tricantanol. Right, that's it for an introduction. Coatsy, put the intro on, bro.
All good? Ready to go? Turn my voice up a little bit. Oh, God, for everyone watching, the whole family.
Are you ready to go? I built a piece in the house that I built, in the booth that I built.
I know people tune in every Sunday to listen, but even when business is good, we still manage to do the podcast. NPK.
So, the intro was done. I want to say it's a little bit hard. I hope I'm giving the partners of the podcast, I hope I'm doing them justice, because the podcast, and I say it every week, is down to the people that listen. If there's no one listening, it'd be pointless doing a podcast. So it's all down to the people listening. But allowing us to do the podcast is CANNA, the nutrient manufacturer, AutoPot, the systems manufacturer, Can Filters, the fan and filter extraction company, SANlight, the LED company, and Revolution Microelectronics, which they do HPS, they do LED, and they do ceramic metal halide as well.
So if you are listening, it's down to them.
Yeah, it is down to them. And we would be very grateful if when you're choosing equipment to buy, that you give them a consideration because they care about your education. So through this podcast. So thank you very much to the partners of the podcast.
Thank you.
Very soon we will have signs up on the wall, so you'll get more exposure. It's all about the exposure.
What is happening with all that?
But balance. He wanted a vector file, and
What?
he wanted a vector file, and
What's a vector file?
Something for Josh to talk about on a graphic design podcast. I haven't got a fucking clue.
got
A really
what you just
high,
said.
big quality vector file.
Vector file.
We thought he had it. He didn't tell us he didn't have it. Miscommunication. This is what happens. You don't get your sign up for ages, but we will have it very soon. Right. Onto the bulk. First article. Oh, Barry, we've got to decide on the best advert at the end of the podcast.
When you say the best, though, do you mean the best in knowledge or in looks or just in easy reading? Or
So the
what do you
best
mean,
article is decided by, not the best article, me and Barry will decide that, but I've done this one quickly. It was Kelly Seaman. It was the best article in my opinion because she's gone heavy on the science. Next week, me and Barry will deliberate and see what the best overall article is. But the best advert has got to be, firstly, the best. What's the best advert? It's got to catch your eye, otherwise you don't read it. And then the information's got to be easy to understand,
quick.
and quick.
That's an advert, isn't it? An advert's like quick, isn't it?
And gets the point across.
Do you want me to tell you which one I seen? In
No,
it?
we're going to leave them all on a cliffhanger.
I've got mine. I seen it before.
I've got mine as well, and they're different. So we're gonna have to come up with some. No, actually, we could probably say our both favourites, and if we can both agree, then that's brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Go
Okay.
on, then. I'll let you have that.
Sound. Well, let's get into the bulk of it. First article by Tom Wall, Cosmic Knot. That's his side name. It
Cosmic
talks
Knot.
about, I think he's part of like music. He's into his music. That must be his band. And he talks about finding balance. Now, he's written this article and it's all about balance, but mostly to do with mineral and organic farming. So if there's a problem in the garden, it is directly related to an imbalance. So if you've got pests, then there's an imbalance. If you've overfed, it's definitely an imbalance. And if you've underfed, it's another imbalance. And the article was looking at the potential imbalance of mineral to organic feeding regimes. Mineral feeds, some people call them synthetic, but it sounds a bit horrible, synthetic.
It's a bit chemically, though.
Yeah, and the salts, it's water and salts, it's mineral. With mineral feeds, the plant has to do no breaking down. It's readily available, and you tend to have between 13 and 15 of the essential macro, micro, and trace elements. Now, Tom's argument was with balance that they're the elements that we know the plant needs. But just because we know something
In mineral,
yeah, or
and what is
in
that?
elemental form,
about 15.
there's apart from CHNO, carbon, hydrogen,
Yeah.
and oxygen, which they get from the surroundings, I believe there to be 14. Now, there's a bit of a disagreement, including CHNO. Some people say 16, some people say 17. The most recent research, I believe, is on 17 and they call it an essential nutrient because if you take it away, the plant can't properly get to the end of its life cycle. It's going to suffer, yeah. Now, with organic nutrients, there's a lot more in it. Tom has said that there's upwards of 100 elements within organic.
Do they need
being.
all that?
Do they need it all? That's the question. Thoughts and opinions on this article. So he's right. He is right. Organic farming is better, but we all know that people struggle to find the yields with organic farming because you have to be on the ball with breaking down the nutrients and allowing the plant to uptake them. So you've got to make good use of beneficials and fungi. Help break down the nutrients and make it readily available for the plant. But it all depends, I think. If you're an organic grower, you probably, I'm going to make assumptions now, you're probably a little bit one with nature. You're organic because you want the best for your plant. And you're probably going to spend a lot of time and energy with your plant. If you don't do that, I think you can suffer as an organic grower. Mineral growers, it's easy.
It's easy.
CANNA B, fully mineral. Why is it? Because people say I'm saying this because they're a partner, but why are they, in my opinion, the best base nutrients? Why do you think?
Because it's easy.
It all comes down to ease of use. It pHs for you. It is quite hard to underfeed with it and overfeed with it. The proportions are perfect. The NPK ratios are great. Cost is good. And they've been there for such a long time. They may have tweaked it over time, but it's been there. And a lot of the time, people fall back onto it because it's easy. Organic nutrients don't tend to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
If there was an organic nutrient that we were going to recommend, CANNA does do an organic line, but doesn't seem to have the... I'm trying to think of the right word. It doesn't seem to have
kick up the arse like mineral.
Yeah. And the biggest, in my
opinion... I think that's just because there's not as many organic growers. Like you say, you find an organic grower, he's more of a hands-on person, isn't he?
Definitely.
And he's probably...
He'll be growing in soil.
He'd be growing in soil, yeah. He'd be more hands-on, and he's not going to be tending to loads of things. He's going to be tending to
a
the
small
niche.
amount. Yeah.
And they're going to be going for sort of quality over quantity.
Yeah. Quality, definitely quality, flavour, aroma, over getting the high yields. And it's all to do with the plant being able to break down what it wants, when it wants. And it's like, why do fast food companies do so well?
Because fast food.
It's there. It's 24/7. Yeah. If you get a bit hungry, you're probably within 5 miles of any fast food restaurant, and you can get it. It's not great. If you lived your life on fast food, you're not going to be the healthiest person. Mm-hmm. And I do believe myself, a mineral grown plant, just fully mineral, an organic grown plant by top level gardeners, I do believe the organic plant will come out healthier and happier, less prone to pest, disease, deficiencies. Because there's everything there you're treating. The question is, though, is it the organic compounds or is it the fact that the soil is healthier? Organic gardeners go on about a living soil, and you feed the soil and the plant looks after itself. So not necessarily the fact that you're using fish shit and the plant happens to love fish shit. It's the fact that the microbes and the beneficial bacteria and the mycorrhiza within the soil, they love it and they thrive. And when they thrive, the plant does well. So there's arguments, and if people, long-term listeners of the podcast, will know that I talk about it like this: a organic feed is like potatoes, big Manus Piper potatoes. To eat one, what you have to do?
Have to cook it, chop it up, chew it, swallow it.
Yeah,
with the mineral.
Skin it if you don't like the skin. What's
mineral?
What's mineral?
Like blended.
Yeah,
mashed
potato.
Yeah. It is, it's easy.
It's mashed potato, and let's just say.
But there is a big difference, like, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you believe, those days, getting back to that point, that, let's say the mineral holds 17, let's say it does hold 17, and organic holds upwards of 100.
Yeah.
Do you believe, we can both agree that an organic plant would be a lot happier and healthier?
Yeah.
But you believe that
they need all of them?
That they need them 100 minerals?
No, I believe that they need a lot more than we know that they need. And I think they need a lot more than the 17 because they're the essential nutrients. And then even though it's non-essential, it's still good to have. So I'm trying to think of something like a tan on a human person, on one of
How many non-humans do you know?
None.
That elephant from Cruelty.
Brian. He's a non-human with them
Brian.
biscuits he brings in. And he'd be laughing in the office now watching this. Now, it's like a human with a tan. If you don't have a tan, then you're not any less of a person. In China, actually, you're thought of as quite beautiful if you're white, if you're real pale white. But a tan in Western society is seen as healthier, isn't it? But you know less. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even though a tan is an essential, it gives you a bit of self-confidence, makes other people think that you're beautiful because that's the way that our media's pushed it. So in that sense, it's not essential, but it makes you feel better. So I do believe that there's non-essential micro elements and trace elements that'll make the plant feel better and feel better about itself, strut its stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? And I do believe that the stuff that we haven't found out, I think there's stuff that's essential, and we just don't know that it's essential yet. I don't think that'll come out. I think the organic growers are a little bit of a step ahead using all that sort of stuff. So that's that. That is, and that's what we agreed with on his article. And then it gets into the disagreement stage. Here we go. Sorry, Tom, but it's just, again, it is my opinion. So what I've said is organic farming is definitely the way to go for healthy plants. We've talked about, do they really need all of those micro and trace elements? It is harder to overfeed with organics and to create lockouts with organics, but it's harder to deliver exactly what the plant needs when it wants it. Then he moves on to a second, more mystical part of plant growth: vibrations, singing, lunar cycles.
The old radio in the room, isn't there?
The old radio in the room. Now, there was...
I have to, you're going to laugh at me now, but I have to think vibrations could play a part. I do.
Good vibrations. See you smile then. That brings me on to my point, though, of vibrations.
I believe that.
Now, there's a machine called Sonic Care or something like that, and we actually had it on a YouTube channel years ago, and it's a big contraption that makes vibrations. Apparently, it opens up the stomata so your plant can breathe more. Didn't ever get into it, really. I wasn't a big fan of it. Didn't believe it worked, especially for $3,000 or whatever the machine was. The BioWave, that's what it was called, the BioWave Mini. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't work, and people think that singing to your plants helps, and it's the vibrations of your voice. But is it not just the CO2 you're breathing out that the plant really enjoys? Go to like the easiest solution is normally the best solution. So I think.
But I look at it like, and I've always said to you, a plant's just like us, isn't it? I look at a plant like they're just like us. You know what I mean? So I believe
anthropomorphic, I think it is called.
What the hell is that?
Anthropomorphic. Is that the word, Josh? When you attribute human qualities to a plant?
Use this clever. Where was I when you were learning this, mate? He said, so what was that other thing he said before?
Like
in
that,
all these big heavy words.
Hi-ho, putting plasterboards up. That's why you are intelligent with building, and I'm just book smart.
Feel thick sitting here.
Well, I feel thick when I see you putting a table together and putting walls up. So there you go. What are you saying?
I was about to go on one.
You're talking about singing. Oh no, you're putting.
No,
you saying
I think they're just like us. So if you turn your lights on in your room, I don't think it's do any harm. I'm not 1,000,000% it would do anything, but your plants are now awake when the lights come on, aren't they? So to have a radio plugged into your light timer that come on, and it's just like everything's awake and everything's lively. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if your lights come on in your room and you've got BBC Radio Merseyside or whatever your plants might like, what you think they might like, everything's awake in that room, and there's noise, there's lights, and then when the lights go off, it's all dark and it
slows down. Opera music. What if you put Depeche Mode on or UB40 and the plant's like Britney Spears? What's going on then? What?
Why are you throwing spanners in the works?
Why do you always have to use building terminology?
I didn't.
Spanners. Do you know what I'm saying? They actually believe the reason they'll throw you off there, didn't they? The reason I said it is because if there's any sort of studies done on it, they all use rock music. They think they're high, like, you know, where they scream into the microphone. Yeah. Not going to do it this week. Bit of Slipknot. That's what they love, apparently.
No, but I can understand. If people have got that belief, there's no scientific evidence behind it, is there?
I'd say for rock music, there's a little bit, but it's not a huge amount.
Just scientific evidence is in music itself.
Yeah. But now, it just gets...
I can understand it. I don't do it, but I can understand it. Now, if
I was
seen a room and there was a radio plugged in on a timer, I wouldn't think no difference of them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go, what are you doing? You're fucking not bad.
You
What's
would
that
if
all
it was
about?
me.
Probably would, just to give you a bit of shit, but I probably wouldn't. I'd look and think, each to their own, innit? You know what I mean? If you think it's working for you, keep going, mate.
Well, here's one for you. I was hoping you would disagree with this vibrations thing, because I was going to mention something. So for anyone that's thinking, bullshit, here's one for you. vibrations. You can hear my voice in your ears now, can't you? It's vibrations. Now, what happens when you're feeling a bit shit and you're throwing at music that you enjoy? What happens?
Feel good.
You feel good. You go out to town, put dance music on, you just start dancing. That's why you don't go to town anymore, because you dance like that. There you go. And if you're not watching live, then that's a good reason to start coming and watch live, get to see Barry dancing. But music makes you feel good.
Yeah, it does.
I don't think anyone could argue against that.
No.
If somebody turns around to you and goes, I don't like music. What music don't you like? Oh, no, I just don't like any music. You look at them like...
There's something definitely wrong with them.
Yeah, there is something wrong with you.
Everyone likes something.
So, there you go.
I like a bit of everything.
We've agreed. Same here. Eclectic. Boom. You like a bit of everything.
Stop it, mate.
There you go. I want to roll. Last week I was a bit all over the place, wasn't I? I was like, oh, I've forgotten this, and I don't know what. Maybe this stomach.
Yeah, you're about to have the shits, mate, and you've gone all clever on me.
There you go.
Right.
So, we're in agreement that music makes you feel good. Now, what is music? It's vibrations.
Vibrations.
Those vibrations enter the ear and they hit the hammer. I think there's a hammer in your ear. Get on that. That's something actually called a hammer in your ear. You're looking at me like I'm soft, but it's called a hammer. And it vibrates, goes into the brain, recognises it as music, and it makes you feel good. So explain that to me.
That's what I just said to you, though. I think they're just like us, so... If I hear music, and what's the first thing you do when you get in the car in the morning?
Put the radio on.
Put the radio on.
Put NPK Live podcast on,
Yeah.
if you haven't caught up with it.
No, I get in the car and put a bit of smooth on, because it's still early.
I'm a
I don't
smooth
want
man.
the chart stuff on. I just want a bit of smooth on. You know what I mean? A bit of heart or magic or something. Get me in the mood. And by the time I get to work, I'll be on to like something half decent. Then.
Yeah. But
You know what I
there
mean?
you go.
But it makes me
I
feel
can't
good.
explain when
Makes
music
everyone
makes you
feel good, doesn't it?
But it does. And it's all it is vibrations and
So I can
wavelengths.
understand that. If people put them in the rooms, I'd understand why. If the lights come on and there's noise in the room, it's alive.
Yeah.
That room then is alive because there's noise, everything. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
What happens in the forest? What happens in the forest?
What sound does a tree make?
As soon as it starts
if it
going
falls?
light. No, as soon as it starts going light in the forest, so wherever you are,
Yeah.
in the jungle,
Oh, the birds start, don't they?
everything starts and
Yeah.
it's alive. What happens when it goes quiet?
Everything
Not goes
It
quiet.
goes quiet.
Sorry, I got that wrong there. What happens when it goes dark?
Everything goes quiet.
There you go.
Nature, bitches.
Nature.
Yeah. That's a good point, that actually. Did
See
you just
that?
come up with
I
that?
just come up with
Yeah,
that.
I like
See,
that.
I'm not that fucking stupid, am I?
Stop it. Singing. We've already covered singing. Oh, comments. So,
I bet that's someone commenting saying they've got a radio on in the room.
what happened there? Did it go off for a bit? Oh, fucking Mevo. This is what I see with most of the US farmers and their super soils, but I also wonder how will these dressings get broken down and get fed into the plant in the times needed. It's by John Riker. I know, I agree. It's why it is harder to organic feed. Index says use the cover
Is that
crop.
because by the time it's broke down, the plant's like sort of...
It's in need of it. Yeah. That's why bacteria and mycorrhiza are so important. They break it down.
Inorganic and soil.
And even in mineral, but we'll come on to that on another article that we're about to read. Indica said use the cover crop as a mulch chop and drop or some fixing nitrogen, so bacteria fix nitrogen can help. If there's bone meal, and then John says if there's bone meal in the soil, the bone meal would break down very slowly over time. Some elements are not directly available to the plant at certain stages of growth. So yet there's another point of organic growing. You've got to be on the ball.
Okay.
Bone
It's
meal
harder.
is a slow release fertilizer. So you've got to add
harder.
slow release, fast release, medium release. You've got to be on the ball, especially outdoors. So, and then it says it takes time for the mix to cook, break down, so keeping it wet for a few months is best. And Rex's people said, hello, guys. Hello, bud. Thank you for joining us. So we're on Tom Wall's article, yeah. We're still talking about singing. I think it's CO2. Could be to do with vibrations.
I think it's vibration.
Next one's Lunar Cycles. He mentions people plant to do with lunar cycles. Again, first off, you go, what are these? Sorry to use this word, but what are these? It's everyone else's word. What are these hippies on about now? Because they're in love with nature, the plant according to the lunar cycle. But think about this. What does the moon do to the tides?
Controls it.
Controls the tides, doesn't it? So if the moon can control that amount of water coming in and out, it's possible it could have an effect on plant growth. Again, I don't think I personally believe it. I wouldn't start getting into lunar cycle planting, but it's if you're into that sort of stuff and you haven't tried it, give it a go. Here comes the doozy, okay? Here comes the doozy. He sort of gets on to, I'm sorry, Tom, but I just can't get behind this one. Steering clockwise and anti-clockwise, depending on if you're in veg or if you're in flower. So if you're in veg, so you know you've got your reservoir, 100 litres, you've mixed it all up and then you start steering. You must only steer clockwise in veg and anti-clockwise in flower.
What?
Don't ask me.
Is that real?
I'm just the messenger. I don't think it's real.
What's that in there? Garden culture?
Yeah. So
who wrote that?
It's Tom Wall's article.
So you steer your water clockwise when you're in veg?
Yeah.
And anti-clockwise when you're in flower?
Yeah. I just want to...
Is he bananas?
I don't really want to comment. I don't...
Come on, lad.
That can't be real. I'm going to make sure...
That's not a real article.
So clockwise rotation is said to promote flowering plants, while a counterclockwise rotation is supposed to support plants that are in vegetative stages.
See that? That's not written in there. That's only reading a post-it or something.
Clockwise rotation there. So he's not agreeing with it. He's saying it is said. So he might not agree with that one, to be fair to him.
Why has he even put that in there?
I wondered why my veg was going fucking shit. I've been steering it fucking
that
clockwise,
haven't I? That is a load of bollocks.
To put it politely.
That is a load of bollocks.
So there you go.
I don't agree with that one bit.
Indica.
That plant knows which way you steer in your water.
Indica Head Shop said he completely agrees because anti-clockwise is something to do with the devil.
What?
It's something to do with the devil.
No, but you're just getting onto like bollocks
mystic shit.
You're all that, aren't you?
But all in all, good article. And it is about finding balance. If you read the article, it makes you think about mineral organic feeding and gives you things to go away and look into. So good article. Thank you very much, Tom. Next article is by Albert Mundo, The Climate Controlled Garden. Not going to spend too much time on this because I don't think there's a lot of outdoor gardeners that listen to our podcast. But what he's talking about is outdoor. Yeah. This could be the opening that triggers it all off. So what he's talking about is outdoor growing and a climate controlled garden outdoors using agro textiles. The main use of sheeting is to protect from pests and potential disease, but some can keep the inside temperature of your polytunnel or whatever it is you're using 5 degrees higher than outside. So if you're getting 0 degrees Celsius and it's about to get frosty, then it'll keep it at 5 degrees, which means that your veggies, your lettuces, all that sort of stuff can flourish. And it means that if you're using the sheeting, you can start a little bit earlier as well. So the main point that I wanted to take from this is that being able to start your tropical veggies a few weeks earlier than anybody else can. Yeah. So you start them off and you can start to maybe give them the extra veg flowering time that they need, spend more time with them or make them more established plants. Yeah. Definitely something to consider if you are an outdoor gardener looking for that early advantage. And we do have some people from the giant veg world that listen to this podcast as well. So look into that, agro textiles, but I'm sure you already do. And that was The Climate Controlled Garden by Albert Mundo. Next was Caroline, I hope I say this correctly, Rivard, called In Between the Rows. Quite a good article. Again, outdoor gardening. And she's talking about how the weeds that affect growers being a bit of a pain in the arse and how they're usually picked and composted. That's standard method for when you get weeds in your garden. But how can we use these weeds to our benefit? So she goes on. But the therapeutic effects of dandelion, I forgot the other one that she mentioned, something lamb. Let me look it up dead quick. You can make them into teas and get the beneficial effects from them. What are they called? Antioxidants, that's the word. Lamb's quarters, that's it. That's the prevalent everywhere in most people's gardens. It's a weed. But do you know what is a weed? What?
It's a plant, isn't it?
What plant?
A weed plant.
But what? Like, there's lamb's quarter, which is a weed. There's dandelion, it's a weed. Yeah. Nettle, it's a weed. What is a weed? What's the technical classification for a weed? An unwanted plant. Yeah. So a rose could be a weed. If you didn't want it in your garden and it was growing everywhere, it's a weed.
If it didn't want you.
Oh, if. That was nice. That's it means you do want me then,
I
don't
do
you?
want you.
Yeah, you slipped
I'm
up
just
there.
saying, though.
It could be a
It
weed.
could be a weed.
But yeah, anything that you don't want in your garden is just classed as a weed. So anyone that's technically grown lamb's quarters,
Could be growing it.
yeah, that's not a weed,
Someone
is it?
could be growing nettle. It'd be a
You.
bit mad, but
You grow nettle, don't
that's
you?
not funny.
It is. Fucking, I was quick there. So she goes on to talk about the therapeutic effects that you can make from teas, but I believe they're even better for your plants. Now, she says this, and I've got to pick her up on this because she doesn't give the health warning. Caroline says that all you have to do is soak, though. So she's mentioned nettles in particular. Nettles are brilliant.
Because you can
I love
nettle
them.
tea in the kind.
Mm. What's the first thing that you would tell somebody that said, I'd like to make some nettle tea in my house, or even outdoors? What are you going to tell them?
Be careful.
Why?
You should have the shits like Stephen. Have you been drinking nettle tea?
No. Would you like me to douse you in nettle tea?
No.
Why not?
Get stung off it or something. I don't know.
No. Do you not remember? It was a long time ago when we made our nettle
I
tea.
remember it. Where is that? We just bin it in the end with the big
We
thing.
did it. Listen, that was phenomenal, that shit. Literally. But she talks about nettles, and she says that all you have to do is soak them for a few weeks and then use the strong resulting tea to water your plants. Now, Caroline, saying that nettle brew is strong is an understatement, and you should probably have given a little bit of a health warning with that, because how do you do it? Go to your local allotment, somewhere where it's clean and tidy, not the fucking side of the M62 where it's all grown and shit. Go somewhere nice and so the healthy nettles. Pick the leaf, discard the stalk, wear gloves because it stings. And then when you've got about 1 kilo of nettle, you pour 10 litres of water over the top of it. Put it in a tub outside and let it ferment for 2 to 3 weeks, or until bubbles start to form on the top. And then what happens when you take the lid off, Barry? Do you remember that smell?
Yeah.
That smell was absolutely horrific.
I can't really remember it. You know how we done it. I can't remember.
It was bad.
Was it?
Thomas kicked off like you would not believe. Like, he told me to get that shit out the shop. I was like, but it's good for the plants. He's like, I don't care. Get it out the shop. That is the worst
It's a bit
smell.
like organic. Most organic feeds smell like a bit
They smell
shitty,
bad,
don't they,
they?
lad?
But
Because it's all like fermented
yeah.
shit.
And it's all the bacteria.
Yeah,
So what you
yeah.
do is you take that tea, you discard all the bits of the leaf and anything that's still lumpy in it. You're left with a real thick, green, watery liquid. You put, I think it's 250 ml of that green stuff, and top it up with 750 ml of water to make a litre. Spray it on your plants with the lights off. This is organic. Don't start getting a titty lip on because I can't spray with the lights on. And you want to see the plants. Oh my God. Organic source of nitrogen, organic source of silica. The silica comes from, like, you know, the thing that stings you on a nettle. That's silica.
Yeah.
So it makes a plant strong and green. And you wouldn't believe the way these plants looked. I gave it out for free. What would I have made? Well, I would have made 10 litres, wouldn't I? 10 1-litre bottles. Just gave it out to customers, and they all came back going, lad, that is one of the best things I've ever used. But I can't carry on using it because my missus is kicking off to fuck. She said it stunk the house out. It smells like proper horse shit. It's bad. So there's the warning you should have used, Caroline, because if anyone's making it in the house, then you're going to be to blame. But yeah, so
Can you just spray your plants with it, or can you bottom feed it?
you could. I didn't actually try bottom feeding, but you could probably bottom feed. Wouldn't have any problems at all. And that was Caroline Ribbard's In Between the Rows of basically making weeds therapeutic. It was a good article. Next article, I think you'll be quite interested in this, is by Rich Hamilton, UK. He's based in UK. It's called Ice Flushing. I like that title. It's quite
I've heard
inventive.
about this.
Yeah. So flushing with ice cold water to produce extra anthocyanins, and they produce the colours in the plants, your reds, your purples, all the colours that you can get. It's down to anthocyanins. And the plant thinks when you flush it with ice that it is entering the winter period, so starts to finish itself off, wants to be done before winter.
Push the best out.
Yeah, so extra oil production, potentially better flavour and aroma. So what do we think? Should we be ice flushing? Has anyone listening or watching live tried ice flushing?
Again, like we were saying before, it's about the radio and all stuff like that. The noises happen in nature, don't they?
Yeah.
So I can agree with it.
Yeah.
And winter does come and it does get cold.
Yeah.
And the water gets colder.
Yeah.
So I can half agree with them, mate. Anything that happens naturally outdoors, I can half agree with.
Mm.
I've never done it myself, but I wouldn't dismiss it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've never tried it myself. I'm a little bit scared, to be honest, because...
But you can understand why people do rave about it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the same sort of dance.
I know what
it was
people
like when
have
we
done
were
it.
speaking, remember, when we were talking about transition. Was it the podcast on transition?
Yeah.
Going from veg to flower, and people were saying you turn your lights off for 70 hours and you leave your lights on for 60 hours. And that doesn't happen in nature, does it?
Yeah, no.
Do you know what I mean? So I just dismissed that sort of shite.
Yeah.
Whether it's true or false, or people have had a good result and it's been a bit of fluke, or I don't know, I just dismiss it. But I can't dismiss anything that does really happen in nature.
Well, if it happens in nature and people think it does well in indoor growing...
So to ice flush, it's like you're bringing a bit of outside inside,
got the
isn't
Barry
it?
seal of approval.
You know what I mean? It has. Whether it
But
works or not, I don't know. I've never tried it.
It's a stress, though, isn't it? Should everybody do it? It's a stress.
But if you're at the end of your cycle...
Rich recommends that. It's a good article because he does say you've got to be careful with it. If you're doing this for like a week before the end, you could really stress out and that could impact your yields negatively.
Yeah.
But he recommends to do it when there's just 2 days left. So if it does have a negative impact, then it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. You're still doing
Got
well.
2 days left. Yeah, it's pretty much done. Your
Flowers
results
should
done
be
by
done
then.
then anyway.
And anything that you're going to
Extra
get
that it
is
might
done.
give you might be better. But I wouldn't dismiss it, and I wouldn't disagree with it at this moment in time, just for the fact that it does happen outside. So
Yeah. Would it matter? So we don't want to do it too early because...
we could ruin everything.
Yeah.
We could really put them into
Yeah.
shock.
And then with only 2 days left, you're really going to see the benefits. Going to all that trouble of getting ice, or if you do it in the summer, then the water doesn't come off the tap.
People
cold.
say ice, but you could just, if you run the cold water tap long enough, it's like anaesthetic anyway, isn't it?
Well,
You know
at
what
the
I mean?
moment,
So-
it comes out the tap in the UK on a cold day or night. It comes out like 4 or 5 degrees, that's good enough for me. Like, I wouldn't want to take a bath in that shit. So adding the ice is a little bit too far. But if you're in the summer and it's coming out the tap at 12, 13 degrees, and that's not the worst temperature to give your plants.
No.
I don't think it's going to have a negative or positive effect. So then you start introducing ice, but then it's just a pain in the ass. People should do it. Let's have a quick look on the comments and see if anybody did it. You know what? My phone shut off. There we go. Let's get it back. Oh, all the comments have gone. I need to restart. While this is restarting,
I wouldn't dismiss it though.
No, I've heard a few
I'd like-
people rave about it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what people have had in that, but I wouldn't just dismiss it.
Oh yeah, I've got a message off Brian saying stream offline, but that was before, wasn't it? And he said, "Yes, I am human, you clowns."
You keep telling yourself that, but
Well, I can't see the live stream, so I can't see comments. If there's any good comments, Josh, let me know. Let's try and get it back up on the WhatsApp. There we go. Right. So yeah, ice flushing. Give it a go. I don't think it can be anything bad can happen. I'm just watching my phone. Look, just says NPK Live, Josh.
I know.
Is it all good?
No.
No.
I'm trying to get the feedback.
Okay, cool. We'll just crack on for the podcast viewers anyway. Or do you want us to pause?
No, just carry on.
Sound. Next article, Catherine Sheriff's recycling. Not going to go over this too much. It's not really to do with growing or hydroponics, but it is worth mentioning because recycling is a big issue, and plastics in particular. And this article looked at the use of leftovers from shrimp, lobster, and other crustaceans, using those leftovers and creating plastics from it rather than petrol-based plastics. They degrade within a year in the environment, no issues, and they degrade in under 10 years in the water, but bottom feeders and bugs can eat it, so there's no plastics ending up in their stomachs. Hopefully, if we can get round it where it's strong enough and it's...
what's that made out of?
Shrimp, lobster, and other crustacean shells. And they're making a plastic from it, but it's just not commercially there yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's just not enough of them just for the plastics that we go through.
Yeah.
Do you know
But
what
if
I
we can
mean?
maybe make 2%.
But it is bad, though. I've been looking at loads of that lately. Mate.
You had was your fact? Oh, it was Jay's fact, wasn't it? 8 million tons. 8 million tons of plastics go into the sea every year just from the UK.
Even though it's bad, but they got fish from the bottom of the sea. One of like these weird bottom feeder fish, and when they open them up, do you know what they found in them? No, the exfoliating beads and some face washes. Found loads of them.
Bad, isn't it?
Because that's like
we wouldn't be eating bottom feeders, like, but
no, but I'm
they
sure
go into other fish as well.
Did they read something about it has ended up in foods?
Yeah,
foliar beads.
Yeah.
Because it's that small.
Something's got to eat them bottom feeders, and we probably eat what eats the bottom feeders, don't we? Right. So it's ended up in us as well.
It is bad though. They're banning plastic straws soon, aren't they, as well? Straws have already been banned. Paper. Yeah. What is it? They've gone. But what else are they banning? They're banning something else. Plastic. Out of exfoliators, they've banned the little beads. But I know they're banning straws. I know you get paper straws now, but I think like on cartons of Ribena and all stuff like that, they're all going as well. And I'm sure now that they're banning like plastic forks and stuff like that as well. Mm-hmm. Like changing
them to wood, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm sure they're banning all them as well. But I agree with them.
It's a big issue, and we do need to be more aware of recycling.
And we don't look after it.
There's only one of them.
That's just one fact.
There's only one of them, isn't it? Yeah. Most growers tend to be bothered about the world that they live in, so this is a little nudge from us.
It's bad, lad.
Make sure you're recycling and
no, if I see someone throw litter out the car, it fucking rages me.
Especially when
honest to God,
right next
rages
to them.
Me, lad. Yeah. I fume because I just think you scruffy bastard. And you just leave it in your car.
You know what they think? They think it's only one cup.
Yeah,
but there's 7 billion people on this
planet. Then the other 600, 700 cars on the motorway behind them all think it's just one cup.
Yeah. The other 7 billion on the planet. If they just thought it's just one cup, then the 7 billion cups dropped in a second.
Scruffy bastards, clean up after yourselves.
That's it. The next article is by Anne Gibson. When I got to this point of the edition, this is when I got up to today, wasn't feeling good. So very brief on them. And I've sort of wanted to concentrate on the ones that are very, like the listeners are going to be interested in. So Anne Gibson was talking about composting. Basically, her article was on food waste and composting tips. The amount of food waste that we have in the UK and around the world is disgusting. Like, there's people that haven't got food in the world, and there's people wasting food. So that's more of a
that's more of like just the world we live in, though, isn't it? That's
I don't think it's an under production of food or an over or an abundance of food.
I think that's just country to country and the movement of the world.
Yeah. So she talks about composting. Try and not throw your food waste away. Compost it. Use it to grow your veggies in your back garden. Or what she would like to see is a central place where everyone can come and put the compost and make one big fuck off.
The
compost.
People who put that banana skins and apple peel and potato peel in the garden, who are they?
My mum.
No, but they're like they are the full organic growers, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they give a shit.
And if you could have a percentage chart now of organic growers to mineral growers, what's it going to be like?
Or the percentage of people that are willing to compost, get the banana peels, build them up in a little bucket, take them out at the end of the day, put them into a composter, and then use that. Yeah, very small.
Very small. It is.
It's basically your allotment growers, isn't it?
Yeah. It's your allotment growers, your organic growers, your small growers.
But is it laziness or is it lack of awareness and education?
I think it's. I wouldn't say it's lack of awareness because everyone knows, don't they? You know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's laziness.
Something
more
big
than
needs to happen on this planet before people go, "Oh
shit,
we need to do something," and that could be coming soon as well. I think Mother Earth is going to go, "Oh, these are starting to piss me off now. Let's get rid of a few," and then you're going to have Yellowstone National Park, super volcano.
How long? That's overdue now.
Overdue, bro. The world will change as we know it. Last time that happened, there was an ash cloud. Covered the world for over 1,000 years.
What was that last one? And the ash cloud went off and it grounded the plains.
It was in
New Zealand.
No, Sweden. Because it was just above us. In Sweden, Norway, Finland.
But all the planes got cancelled everywhere. It grounded.
Yeah, because if that suck got into the engines, it would have blew up.
No, apparently what it is as well is it's the engines, it finishes them. But have you seen what it does to the window screen? Makes it like sandpaper when they're flying through it.
Yeah.
Remember the planes doing 500 miles an hour into
tiny particles
of dust. So it like just makes the window screen just rough as fuck. Just like proper, like, sandpaper.
Just ruin the planes.
Obviously,
anyway.
you wouldn't worry about the window screen, you wouldn't worry about the engines on
Blowing
the
up.
back, like, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it is bad.
So if you,
I love
if you're
all
bothered,
that talk, you know, sorry.
yeah, I know
Like
it's good,
Yellowstone
isn't it?
Park and
No,
all
yeah.
that,
We'll
all
do
that.
one because here's one for you. You know, my secret weapon is like me books.
Just me.
Next to you, I have a big pile of books, don't I? It's me books. I do believe, like, I love books, and that's where I learn a lot of my stuff. I learn it and then go and put it into use and practical. And my favourite book of all time is Bill Bryson, and it's like 5 cents. It's like 34 inches thick, and it's a short history of the world. Phenomenal book. Every
Who's
single
that by?
person, Bill Bryson. Everybody should read it because it literally starts the beginning of the universe to modern day and just what's happened and what's gone on. It's a great book. Read that if you're interested in composting. Next article is by Dr. Callie Seaman. Another credit to the UK. Biochemistry of the cold. I said I've written down it's not really an article that we can go in depth on because Callie goes in
Deep.
Yeah. For an article on a magazine, she goes in. It's like teetering on what you'd find on Google Scholar, even though she'll dismiss that because Google Scholar's heavy. And she goes hard on the science, but it's a good article nonetheless. And if you're interested in what happens during the cold period or a frost period to a plant, then make sure you go and give this article a read. Basically tells you about if your plant goes below 15 degrees Celsius, it's entering a cold period and what happens within the cells. If you enter a frost period, which is anything below 0 degrees Celsius, what goes on within the cell. Cells are made up of mostly water. They freeze, they expand, they die once the temperatures get back to normal. And when they die, it's not the end of the plant, but disease can get in a lot easier. So your plant it's just ruined. And it's a good article on understanding the in-depth intricacies of the biochemistry of the cold. So, and that's my article of the every other month, the bi-monthly garden culture. That's my article of the month for this one. There's not much left on these. It's unless you want to talk about them. There's Simon Hart's article on plants and fungi, the beneficial relationship of plants and fungi. Talk to me about microbes and beneficials. Do you use them while I have a drink?
In DWC, I do.
Yeah.
In cocoa. Gets hard, doesn't it? In cocoa, no. Not all the time.
He's coughed it, hasn't he?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Just depends on the weather outside when I'm going.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just
It's
you
not-
know me, Steve. It's just sometimes I do, sometimes
You know-
I don't.
you know
In
why it's not you?
DWC, I believe it's got to be used.
Yeah, because you're in water and things can go wrong. Do you know why you use it in DWC? Because things go wrong quicker in DWC than in cocoa. So there's my point. In certain microbes, certain mycorrhiza, you can definitely see. I just don't think you've used it or done it side by side and
I've
spent
used
enough
like some
attention on it.
Mammoth P and stuff like that. I've used Bactivate.
Have you used Azos?
I've used Azos.
Phenomenal.
Mycos. I've used
Azos and Mycos, phenomenal.
Charge, but I don't think that's
Yeah,
more
no,
than like,
that's right. That's beneficial bacteria.
Yeah. What else have you used?
You've used a few, but on a lot of them,
Yeah.
unless you're doing side by sides and you're really interested in the results, you might not see huge benefits. And I've written down it's an insurance policy. Now I was doing a test with Jason from AutoPot. We were growing chilies. He doesn't believe that microbes and mycorrhiza are as big a player in plant growth
In the plant industry.
as everyone's making
Yeah.
out. I do. Now, when we were growing the
See,
plants,
I'll
I don't know.
I'll half agree with him,
Yeah.
but I agree with
Go
you.
back to nature.
I'm on like,
What happens in nature?
yeah, I know. I know.
Like you can go to a good
No,
rainforest,
I'm not dismissing it.
take a cube
I'm
of
saying like,
you're dubious.
I'm not even dubious. I know it works. It's like the 100 elements in organic. Do we need them all to get a
Yeah.
good result?
I don't think we understand bacteria and mycorrhiza well enough to understand what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like if I believe companies like Extreme Gardening have got a lot going on for them. Use Azos and Mycos, and then other people might be interested in using Great White and think, yeah, I'll throw Great White on. excuse me, might use Great White, and I'll use some Mammoth Paint, I'll use this, Activate and that, and Charge. And before you know it, you've got bacteria competing with each other. So which ones are working?
Yeah.
I think we do need to dig into bacteria and find out what's really going on. My biggest point, and I believe this to be a fact, is that if bacteria and mycorrhizas don't necessarily impact directly on plant yield, I call them the insurance policy. And it is the reason why you use it in DWC, because in DWC, you've got your Ferrari, you've got your fast car, you've got your system that grows plants very quickly. And with fast cars comes problems. People want to rob them. If you drive them too fast, you can crash them. And they're show-off cars, so there's a lot that can go wrong. It's the same for DWC. Now, your insurance for your Ferrari needs to be high, doesn't it? So that it can cover anything. And it's the same for DWC. That's why you use beneficials, because you're putting your insurance policy into them. With cocoa, that's your Ford Focus. That'll run most days. The insurance isn't high on it because not many people want to rob your Ford Focus. And it's not much that you can do wrong in a Ford Focus. So if you didn't have insurance on it, disclaimer, always have insurance on your cars. I'm not saying don't have insurance. But if you didn't have insurance on your Ford Focus, it's not the end of the world, is it? Because if it gets stolen, the cheaper models, you replace them. You know what I mean? So in cocoa, there's less that can go wrong than DWC. Yeah. So you're less reliant on your insurance policy.
I believe they work. I do believe they work. But I also believe that by not having them in there, it's not like the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. You can do
to an organic grower. I reckon it'd be the end of their world.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, they wouldn't sleep at night and all that.
But to be right too, you couldn't break down. If you had this, you can't grow organics in a sterile environment. So it's 100%. They're driving Ferraris and they need that insurance policy. It's what? Oh, is it back up? We back up?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool. It's not playing on my... Oh, have you set up a new stream, haven't you?
It should be the same link as far as I know.
Technical problems.
We're doing so well.
This is all Coachy's fault. I'm sick of him now.
But you know what? You know what? I know that. I know that Josh freaks. Like we were talking recently, and you know the live podcast we did 150. He says that was like the worst moment of his NPK career. Heart palpitations.
Is that over the water?
Yeah.
Is that when we were there?
Yeah. And
it all went off.
It all went off. It was bad.
Well.
Indicate. I'm made up. We're back live again. Hemp straws. Yes. Listen, we should do a podcast on hemp. Yeah. Because we need. You know what the problem is? Our listeners and our people that are watching, I guarantee 100%, every single one of them are like hemp. And we need to sort of be able to talk to people that are like, don't we? To be able to educate them. I hope people are listening that aren't into hemp and we can help educate them. Symbiotic relationship between fungi and plants. Yes, symbiotic. Good word. Basically, they both feed off each other. The fungi get the sugars that the root exudates. There's another one for you. The fungi live off them, and the fungi extends the root system of the plant, hyphae, I think they're called, and allows the plant to take up more nutrients. Fungi then networks for nutrient exchange for sugars carrying information. We are mushroom. Well, with this table, there's not mushroom in here, is there? Oh, you like that one? You're going to secretly say to me after, that was quite funny though, actually. I got it 5 minutes later.
And tell him to start packing it in, lad.
But yeah, we've spoken about beneficials, bacteria and mycorrhizas before. I do believe everybody should be using them. I 100% believe everybody, I'm now certain, everybody should be using Azos. Sprinkle it in the hole, put your cotton on top of it, boom. The fairiest, whitest roots. Boom. Roots everywhere, mate. And they are like phenomenal. I'm a big fan of that product. Next article is by Evan Folds. Very good writer, writes regularly for Garden Culture. Now, this was a deep, heavy podcast, heavy article. I'm not going to go into detail on it. Just going to mention it so that people can go and read in their own time. What is CAFO? CAFO. Concentrated Animal Feeding Operation. And it is an animal farm that discharges manure or wastewater into a natural or man-made ditch, stream, or other waterways. I'm going to put this article into a nutshell. That is shit, literally. They're basically putting animal waste into our waterways, contaminating it, causing all sorts of problems. But he's another one that goes hard on the environmental side. If you're interested in that, I think I've never heard of
Where's
CAFO.
that come? Like, when I say where's it
It's
come
the
from?
US. I think it's the US.
And,
Because it
and
doesn't-
they're just allowed to do that.
Yeah, well, there's ways of stopping it, or there's ways of treating the wastewater before they put it into the waterways, but they're just like, it's an extra cost, isn't it? It's like, nah, we'll just throw it in there. And they're getting away with it. So I think it's a big problem in the US. I've never heard of CAFO in the UK. There's probably something like that in the UK. But if you're interested and you're a US listener, go and have a little read of that article. Tom Forrest, Stealth Science, one of the last 3 articles, is a great article by Tom, requires a full read, but essentially looks in depth at the balance a guard requires, deficiencies, toxicities, and how to remedy. This is what I'd like to say about it. This is my sort of point from his article. You know when you find a problem on someone's plant, you have to excuse me a second.
This is a question.
Yeah, this is a question. When you find a problem on someone's plant and they say, oh, what's going on? What can you give me, plant, right now to fix it?
No,
That is mostly the answer, because
that problem
was
arrived a week ago.
exactly.
It's something you done a week
Good
ago.
when we're like on the wavelength, you know. Right?
Well, I'm on it, me lad.
It was a week ago, wasn't it? What you did to
was
see
a
that
week ago.
deficiency there was a minimum a week ago, and could have been even longer. So we look at the
We can
process of
treat it
loving.
now. The
You might have
signs
already
of
remedied it,
yeah.
and and then you're gonna create a tox like.
Yeah. But if we
nitrogen
did treat it
deficiency.
now, it's not going to show signs of healthiness for
So a week later,
later.
So and then people think it's not working 3 days later,
Well,
and
it's
you add
not
more,
working,
and then you overdose it,
Yeah.
and you produce another set of problems. The problem with deficiencies, and every time you go into the forums, and people need to stop doing this, is 90% of the time, people think that a deficiency will be cured is a calcium and magnesium deficiency. Like there's jokes all over the internet of it now, but you find any deficiency, and you can find somebody saying, that's a CalMag deficiency. It's like, if I don't know, you know what it is? If you don't know the answer, give it CalMag.
Yeah.
That's what it seems to be. Here's my answer. It's very, with the feeds that we're giving it these days, it's very rare for a plant to have an individual deficiency because it's not available in the nutrient bottle. Well, that's not true. It's more than likely because there's a pH imbalance. It's either too low, below, I'd say too low for deficiencies to start out will be below 5, and too high will be above 6.5. So that's where the majority of deficiencies on your plant tends to come from. Also, if your EC is too high, you got to think like nutrients are a motorway. NPK are your big trucks, it's your macronutrients with calcium, magnesium, and then you got your micronutrients, which are your cars. If you put too much NPK and calcium, magnesium on the motorway, then how can the cars get to their destination? It's a traffic jam, and it's called. Oh, am I going to have another reverb to last week when I can't think? Lockout. There you go. Good job. You were here to help me.
That's a good job.
So if you have a lockout, then people tend to think it's a deficiency. Deficiencies and toxicities can look the same a lot of the time. So, and people don't think it's a toxicity. People think it's a deficiency, end up adding more. It's a nightmare. Go read Tom Forrest's article, Stealth Science, because it'll help you understand about the metabolic pathway of a plant, how calcium and phosphorus interact, why you can't have those two products in the same bottle. It's the reason we have an A and a B. And it'll help you to understand about deficiencies, about toxicities, about its metabolic processes. Very good article. It was very close to getting an article of this edition.
Newtlock.
Newtlock, baby. And then the last two, I'm afraid I can't give Matt Mountain a lot of attention because it's a very good article. It was the Pruning Debate.
It's a full podcast.
It's a full podcast. It is. We've touched on it roughly, haven't we, over the last few weeks? But the Pruning Debate, the reason I don't want to give it too much attention is it's a fantastic article. If you didn't have managed to listen to the last few podcasts, go and check his article out because it covers a lot of what we talked about. But essentially, it's do you prune or do you leave the plant? If you prune, you're removing solar panels. Solar panels create energy for the plant, less energy, less yield. At the same time, if you leave too many solar panels on, then pest and disease are going to get in much easier because of little airflow and your plant's going to suffer. So it's a very good article, that one. Go and give it a read.
It's a very big podcast.
It is. So we will probably, I need to write these down. Josh, write down the hemp podcast and the pruning podcast. Brilliant. Brilliant pretending to write down stuff, Josh. Thank you. And then the last one was Andrew Abram Mason, Trump in denial. I'm not going to really go into much detail. It was a great article. I enjoyed it. But it's about climate change and the fact that the Trump administration is denying climate change because it's Trump and he denies climate change and he wants to build a wall. He wants to build a wall.
Building a wall.
And he wants to use lots of petrol shit because there's no climate change. Yeah. So,
I like petrol.
If you are interested in a climate change podcast, let me know. I wouldn't do one because it's nothing to do with hydroponics or growing, really. But if you're interested, then let me know and I'll go through it. Right. There's few people watching, but no more comments coming through. Was there anything else to add before we round up? Oh,
adverts.
You're excited about this, aren't you? Who's got the best advert? Oh, let's have a look. I'm going to skip to mine. Do you know what mine is?
Pick mine.
I know you'd have.
Let me guess what yours is.
Can I mention a few good ones? Because I think people should get credit for good work. And you're going to laugh now because...
He's going to credit himself here.
I'm allowed to say you're here. No, it's Reg. I thought it was
Growth
somebody
Technology.
else. Growth Technology. I thought someone else. Here's the first one that I liked. Mills pays the bills. That one, it's all right. It's just a logo, really. But the next one next to it, C4 plant bomb with a big broccoli stem. I like that. I quite like that. Oh, you want me to hold it for an extended period of time? There you go. I like that one. What else do I like? Now, adverts. What are we picking out here, Barry? Oh, I've got to mention these. SANlight. Quite nice, actually. Just a bit simple. But I've mentioned
an advert is, though.
I suppose so, yeah. SANlight. Horticultural LED lighting. Picture of the light. Q6W. Distributed by Highlight with the website. Does the job, doesn't it? You know what I'm out for, though? I'm out for things that grab your attention. And people who listen all the time are going to laugh at this one because, who is it? Botanic Care. You all know, if you listen, my thoughts on Botanic Care. But I have to say, the advert looks really nice. Good job, whoever created that. I felt sick saying that, but I've got to be honest, it was a lovely advert. Right, what else was there? Maxis for their daylights. I like that because it's super scientific. Lots of PAR charts. I was into that one. Straight over Barry's head, which says a lot because most people are like Barry. Not many people are like me. Does it go over your head too much? Maybe a bit too much information by Maxi. Right, we're nearly there. Drum roll, please. Here's my favourite. And no, it's not because they're a partner. It's just because it looks lovely. It is The Revolution is Here. It's the advert by Revolution Microelectronics. The reason I like it is because it caught my eye. It's white and they've got their grow room set up like an infinity mirror. They just go on and on and on with their 4 products that they do. Simple, caught my eye, and you can have a look at it. So go and check that out. Where's yours, Barry?
Mine was a dead easy one. There was a few, to be honest with you.
He's looking through it. Oh, here we go.
And you know what makes me laugh is we have just been talking about it, haven't we? Where I said, I don't need, no, I don't need to use them. Doing DWC, but that's, you can tell I'm not biased, can't you?
Yeah.
See, but that just caught me eye. Mammoth P.
Why did it catch your eye, Barry?
It's a nice advert, and it's just, look how easy it is. And
bullet
it tells
pointed.
you bullet points, and I like that. Because I can read that within 2 minutes in a busy day and know that half of what it does. And
it's got lots of pictures. I like pictures.
I like pictures. I like them a lot.
My bookcase, I call it a comic case because it's got lots of comics in it. I like my pictures.
That is lovely
It's easy
advert.
though, isn't it?
So, what are we gonna agree on one, or are we just gonna stick to our own?
Nah, we'll agree on my one. I'm with Pete.
I like my. You know what I like?
You couldn't really. It's an advert. Now, the adverts that you've pointed out, the maxi one does show you all the levels.
Yeah,
and that.
yeah. So good.
Revolution Diva doesn't. It just shows you the lights. Yeah, the pictures are nice and all that. But that there shows you the bottle. Nice advertisement.
Have you
And
noticed
it's
what the background is?
And it's bullet pointed.
Microscope picture of a microbe.
Yeah, but it's bullet pointed. And
So what you're saying is it's got everything.
Yeah, it's got
It
everything.
catches your eye. Nice big bottle.
It's
You know
done
who it
really,
is.
really well.
And it's got lots of good information. Okay, I'll agree with you, Barry. Advert of the month, of the biannual, monthly, weekly,
But you
daily
don't buy it, it's free
edition.
in the shops.
is Mammoth P.
Yeah.
There you go. So that is the Garden Culture Review done. As always, a great edition. What didn't you see in this one? Who writes for Garden Culture for the last 4 years?
Do you know whose
Every
birthday-
edition.
Do you know whose birthday it is today? And I found out before.
Oh,
Off Reg.
do you want to sing him happy birthday?
Don't want to sing him happy birthday. Coatsy, you can play it though.
Do like a good one. And it'll go like, and then you'll just start and it'll carry on.
And
Yeah.
I'll say to
Is he watching? No?
Nah.
I've got a blocked nose and not feeling great.
don't encourage him.
People-
please.
People have had to listen
Dan.
to this blocked nose.
Moonshine's birthday today.
to you. Happy birthday to you.
Dan, Moonshine.
Happy birthday to
Dan.
Happy birthday to
Moonshine. How old is he? He's coming up to 42 now, isn't he, Dan?
Easily.
Easy.
That beard's been going for about 42 years.
What don't you talk about beards means?
Mine's brown. His is fully red. It's going to be red. Be called red.
It's both upside down. It's short back and sides on your beards.
Have you seen what's on your
Yeah,
face?
mine's not bad though, is it, Reg? Not, is it? That's just stubble, that.
Mate,
That's like
yours has got
a wig on your
I'm
chin.
going to start calling you rainbow face because it's
You're
got
the
every
Dan
colour.
Mooney.
It's got every colour on there.
Anyway,
Copperhead.
it's Moonshine's birthday. Happy birthday, lad.
Happy birthday, Dan Moonshine.
Yeah, upside down, lad.
Right. Anything else to mention?
Nope.
Good article.
When are we having one of them podcasts where, like,
We all sit around the
we get
table.
everyone on,
Soon. After Barcelona,
And we all
what do you
just-
reckon? Are
and
you
we
coming
all-
on?
and we all just talk shite.
You know, Reg has been on a few podcasts in the past,
Right.
and like the lead up to the podcast, he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to say this and say that," and he just gets entranced by what we're all saying. Just sits there, listens to everyone. You're going to speak this time? Yeah, we're going to do one of them
We
soon.
need one
I
of
think it'd
them.
be funny. Anita, what's happening, Anita? You're good, long-time listener. It's to do with the earth energy, one love. So Anita's organics, all about health and wellness, and she's probably tell us some bits about singing to your plants and all that sort of stuff. Anita said, "Are we invited?" Well, we're going to do our first one private.
Yeah.
Make sure that we can get it right, and then we might do some audience ones. Right, how long's that one been, lads? 74 minutes.
See,
Fucking
lad,
hell.
you get carried away with
I know,
yourself.
we're turning into the heavy
Going
tea
all
podcast
organic
here.
on me here.
Hey, 4 hours and shit. No, let's crack on. Everyone, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for washing live.
Washing.
Barry, it's good to wash live so people know that you don't smell.
I don't smell.
I know, but if you wash live, everyone knows for a fact that you don't smell. Wash live, top tip. See you all next week for another podcast that I will decide tomorrow. See you all soon. Bye-bye.
Ta-ra.